What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 4, Chapter 4, Sanctuary. Another good episode, and I will say, while obviously the CW shows, they did bring me a lot of pain and a lot of anguish, one thing I will say is that they did give me a lot of stuff to talk about. I feel like so far for The Mandalorian, it's not a whole lot to talk about. It's a lot of it's stuff that's good. There's not really anything bad. There's not anything fantastic. It's all good. The stuff with Mando and Grogu and all of that, and going to help these people. I mean, it's enjoyable. There's some really funny moments. Him opening the ship and Grogu's just standing there, like, yeah, I'm going too, right after he just said, you're not going, stay there. It's funny stuff. I will say one thing that I do like with the writing of Mando is that he's kind of that sort of morally gray character where he's not just going to help out people for no reason. Like, he needs some profit in it if he's going to go help. And I like that because it shows he's not necessarily just a superhero who's like, I'm going to save the day or anything like that. But he's also not so stupid either. Because that would put him in a bit of a dangerous spot if he's just going around helping every, little old lady that needs to cross the street. Word's gonna get out about this Mandalorian with this little kid alongside him helping all of these people. It's gonna be a lot easier for him to be tracked. So if he's going to help people, because he does still want to help for the most part, like he still does have that side of him that wants to help the underdog, you can tell. But he can't just do it every single time it happens because it happens a lot and he can't risk it. So I like how they're writing him because it does sort of make you wonder anytime he comes along, these people that need help, how is it going to come about that he's going to go help them? Because he's not just going to be like, oh, let me just drop everything and help these people. So there is going to have to be some sort of reason that they use, it seems. So, but yeah, him and Kara, we meet her for the first time, working together, seeing them taking down the AT Walker. Yeah, it was enjoyable. Obviously, I know she comes back later, and then I know she leaves the show again. I'm pretty sure at some point, and I won't get into all of that because that just involves a lot of politics and stuff that will make people go, well, maybe I do need to say something then, since people will go off in the comment section. I'm just kidding, but yeah, I mean, seeing them work together for the first time, it was good. It was fun, and I am looking forward to seeing them become more of a team. I think as the season goes on, so I don't know when she'll pop back up. The stuff with the villagers, I mean, it was just a nice moment to see Mando become a little bit more human for a second and less of a badass bounty hunter. Seeing him talk about the weight of taking the helmet off is basically like you're done with that lifestyle. Then you're basically, that's it. You're out. I feel like I do remember people talking about on the internet, like all of that stuff, and I feel like there was some controversy, I think, or was that Boba Fett? I don't remember. And for anybody wondering, yes, I do call him Boba Fett because it's funny to me. Funnier than Boba, and it just makes me think Boba tea. But yeah, there's not really much else. I mean, I know somebody shows up at the end, and you kind of get the feeling whenever he's talking about leaving Grogu there, you kind of get that feeling of like, okay, well, something's about to go wrong that's going to make him go, never mind, I have to take him with me. So I guess I'm pretty sure they showed in the flashback that they were talking about trackers. It's not a scene I remembered off the top of my head because it has been a little while since I watched the first 3 episodes. But if Mando knew there were trackers, maybe he didn't realize there was a tracker on Grogu specifically. But yeah, so it kind of shows though that they're not out of the woods yet, even though they are finding these backwater planets that seem to be sort of out of the reach of everybody. Clearly, there's still a way that people are tracking them, and he's gonna have to figure out that soon, more than likely. So, but yeah, good episode. Looking forward to seeing what's coming next. So on to the next one. I'll see you there. And now, Chapter 5, The Gunslinger. Enter the woman, the womith, the legend. I know it doesn't quite work, but it's fine. Ming-Na Wen. Fantastic to see her in the show. I knew that she joined the Star Wars universe at some point. I'm pretty sure her character is like a mainstay on the Book of Boba Fett. I think. Don't quote me on that, though. So I guess this is where this character gets introduced, and I'm sure whoever's showing up at the end is going to bring her back to life somehow, even though she got shot. Because it's Star Wars, nobody really dies in these, right? But I mean, another interesting episode, Mando helping out this kid who ultimately sees his opportunity to turn on him. And you kind of get that feeling that it's going to happen at some point, that the kid's going to turn on him. So it was just a matter of what was going to cause it. So I do like the fact that it wasn't just he was greedy and decided, hey, you know what, screw you, Mando, I want the money for myself. It was actually he wanted to join the Bounty Hunters Guild, and he sees an opportunity to turn in a traitor that would definitely get him a seat in the Bounty Hunters Guild. I mean, it makes sense. It's not just pure greed, because I feel like that type of story has been done way too often. So I feel like if it had just been he just wanted the money for himself, I don't think it would have been as strong of a motive. But to see the reason why be such a compelling motive, it makes a lot of sense, and I feel like it makes the story a lot more palatable, even though we've seen so many similar stories to this one, because, again, it's not just a simple reason. So I appreciated that, and I feel like, again, it shows the writing for the show is a lot more clever than some of the stuff, especially I've been watching recently. So, yeah, another solid episode. I liked all of the clever stuff that they did to make sure they could capture Fennec, even though she had the high ground on him and had a sniper rifle trained on him. And the way that Mando got out of it with the help of this kind of quirky lady that runs the Mos Eisley hangar, I guess. Yeah, it was a fun episode. I wonder if she's going to come back, because it does seem like he seems to be forming a bit of a connection with a random person or a couple of random people on every planet he goes to. So I do wonder if some of these characters, like the woman from the last episode, or now this woman that he met in this one, I do wonder if they'll come back at some point and maybe help him out, since he helped them. It's an idea that I feel like probably we'll see them again. But yeah, she was kind of funny though, seeing her go from this kind of like hard, I'm not gonna take any crap from you type of woman, to, as soon as she sees the kid, like, oh my goodness, you come here, I'm gonna take care of you. It was pretty funny. Yeah, overall, I mean, another good episode. So I feel like I've got not a whole lot to talk about. It's good. It's enjoyable. If there's anything really stupid, I'll talk about it. If there's anything that just blows my mind, I'll talk about that. For the most part, though, it's just going to be, just recapping a bit of what happened and why I liked it, what I expect to see next. So, yeah. On to the next episode. I'll see you there. And finally, Chapter 6, The Prisoner. So this one, I will admit, it was pretty predictable. Like, when they were all on the ship, and they were, sitting there talking and messing with Mando and all that stuff, all I could think is, okay, so they're all going to betray him, right? And then they get in there. I didn't predict that it was going to be, the prisoner they were breaking out was going to be related to Mando and them somehow, but, it ended up being the brother of the one girl that apparently Mando betrayed before and all that. So that's their reason why they're betraying him, and why they don't actually want... They want his help so they can turn on him, really. But then at the end of it all, Mando, he's got, I think his name was Chin, I think is how they pronounced it. It was Qin in the subtitles, but I think they pronounced it Chin. But he's got him, down the barrel after seemingly killing everybody else. And all I can think is, okay, so he didn't kill everybody. He's actually locked him up. And this guy is like going so hard into, you're not gonna kill me. I mean, you're still a man of honor, right? That it almost sets up to be like an twist on a twist. Because most of the time when I see this setup where you got one guy with the weapon and somebody else saying, you're not gonna shoot me, you're not gonna do it, it ends up with they shoot him. Because it's like, well, as much as you're saying it. But because of how they set it up, where we didn't actually see him kill any of the other people, and now he's got this guy at gunpoint, it almost felt like it was seemingly setting up like, no, he's hardcore, guys. He's killing all of them. Just so they could be at the very end like, nope, he actually didn't. Gotcha. And I don't know, it felt kind of predictable. And then even at the end, I'm like, okay, so they're going to betray him, but then he's already planned for that. And sure enough, that's exactly like I know I could just be saying all of this, and there's no way for me to prove that I actually predicted all of this before it happened, but I really did. Like, it was very predictable, but that's not to say it wasn't enjoyable. And I think that's where predictability doesn't always mean that it's not enjoyable. Sometimes there are things that, yeah, I can kind of see where this is going, but you can still have a good time with it. I think a good example of that was because I actually just watched it recently, even though obviously it came out a while ago. But the Super Mario Brothers movie, the most recent one that just came out, it was pretty predictable. It was pretty straightforward. There wasn't a whole lot of surprises to it, but it was still a good time because they did a good job with everything going on inside of it. I feel like this episode was kind of the same thing. It was predictable. It was pretty easy to see where everything was going, but at the same time, I still had a good time with it. The action scenes were still fun. I did like a lot of the back and forth before, the whole betrayal and everything. The back and forth between Mando and this little crew of total douchebags, it was pretty fun. I liked that dialogue that they had and the little quips that they had at each other. It was a good time, and it kept me enjoying things. It kept me engaged in what was going on. So even though it was pretty obvious to see what was going to happen, I still had a good time with it. And I think it's pretty hard to do, because most of the time whenever you're following stories like this, and you're setting up for these surprise plot twists, where all of a sudden you're like, oh, gotcha, he didn't actually kill any of them, or oh, gotcha, he actually planned that they were going to betray him and sent the rebellion after them, or I guess they're now the New Republic. Those moments, they don't have as much weight. And those are big moments too, because whenever he pulls the tracker out of his pocket, that's a clearly set up to be like, oh, he got him. I didn't feel that, but outside of that, I still had a good enough time to where even though those moments didn't land that well, I still enjoyed myself. So there was definitely a detriment to this episode in that sense, where there were a couple of those moments that felt like they held on him for a little bit so the audience could be like, oh! But because I wasn't really in that mindset, it was kind of just sitting there going, okay, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. So just a little nitpick, but something more, I guess, if you didn't see it coming, those probably were big moments for you. So I guess it kind of depends on, were you able to see where it was going or not, as far as how much you enjoyed this episode. The other thing I will say that was kind of a little weird is this whole, it felt like there was a time thing. I didn't actually go back and see exactly how long it was between when Zero told them you have 10 minutes left to when essentially the New Republic showed up at the very end to blow up their whole thing. Oh, excuse me. But even if it wasn't 10 minutes exactly, it still felt like more than 10 minutes had passed from when Zero said that to whenever Mando got off the ship and the New Republic went and blew him up. Like, it was a very long passage of time where we see Mando kind of messing with everybody, doing all the doors and stuff, and then taking down the big guy, and then a few minutes later he's there and he's taking down the girl, and then taking down, I'm pretty sure that was Bill Burr. I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, that's why he looks familiar. So he takes them all down, but it doesn't feel like that happened within a minute or two. That felt like it was probably at least 5 minutes. And I don't think, him getting out of the cell and getting to the doors took less than 5 minutes. At least I don't think so. So it felt like that 10-minute timestamp, probably not exactly accurate. If it was accurate within the timeline of the show, I guess that's one thing, but it didn't really feel like the timeline of the show matched up exactly with what was going on in the show, if that makes sense. Like 5 minutes in the show felt like it was probably more like 10 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that stretch of time was more than 5 minutes. So I don't know, just again a little nitpick, something that most of the time movies, shows, they don't really keep track of how long things are. They're like, yes, you have 10 minutes, and then what feels like 30 minutes later, it's like, oh, 10 minutes has finally passed. But yeah, I mean, still, again, a good episode, some good moments, some funny moments as well. I did really appreciate almost how horror movie it was, because watching Mando do his work against them, it felt like whenever I see, any sort of like scary movie type of thing. I don't watch a whole lot of scary movies because I'm just not into them, but those moments where like he's walking behind Bill Burr's character, and he's like every time the light flashes, he's there, and then flashes again, and he's gone. I'm just like, what is he now? Like, is he actually a phantom? Like, what is going on here? But it was still enjoyable. It was still fun, and it sort of built up, I guess, the excitement, because they really did make this little group very awful people. Like, beside the fact that you got Bill Burr acting like just a total asshole. You got the big guy who's all like, oh, he doesn't look like much, the whole time. The girl is absolutely a total psychopath. You've got just these three fun characters that you just can't wait to see Mando take them down. And so when those moments hit and you see him just so effectively take them down, outside of the big guy, because, yeah, the big guy was just I mean, he was a tank. So no real surprise that it took a little bit longer to take him down than the other two. But those moments were still just so much fun. And again, that final moment where we see the one guy like, kill him, and then the chin guy's like laughing like, yeah, he's gonna die now. And you just see him feel something in his pocket, and he's just like, wait, what is that? That moment is still, even if you, like me, saw it coming, it's still kind of a fun, like, I'm so glad that I get to see these two guys realize what's about to come to them and get exactly what they deserve. It's just a good feeling inside whenever you write characters this way. And I feel like that's something, especially when you think about, like, I think about the CW shows, I think about modern Marvel stuff, you feel like they're leaning too heavily into trying to make these sympathetic, understandable villains, that you lose these moments where you have the absolute just asshole of a villain that gets their comeuppance. This is the type of feeling that you can get. That's why, in my opinion, I'm glad Guardians Volume 3 had such an just completely unsympathetic villain, because I wanted to see him get his comeuppance. I wanted to see them kick his ass in the end. If you make a villain that you're sympathizing with, then the only thing you can hope for is that the good guys get through to him in the end. And that's what it feels like. I think about like The Flash or Supergirl. That's what it feels like those shows do, is that they make these villains that they're like, we can change them. We can make them better people. And so when they do, it's like, oh, we did it, guys. Well, yeah, but I'm watching a superhero show. I want to see them kick some ass. And if you make villains like they did in this episode, it just really adds to that feeling of whenever Mando finally steps up and kicks their ass, it's so good. It's such a good feeling. And it's something that I feel like I've been missing for a little while. So it's nice to have that feeling again. Also, one other thing, just because it was a really funny moment that did have me kind of belly laughing for a little bit, is when Zero's trying to find Grogu around the ship, and then finally opens the door and like points the weapon. Grogu does his, I got this, and then all of a sudden just boom, out the chest. I love the fact that Grogu just they put so much life into, because I'm pretty sure he's still, like, he is CGI sometimes, I'm pretty sure, but that right there, that looked like a puppet. Like, just, it looked real. Now, they may have done some CGI, like, textures to make his face move a certain way, but I don't know, just the way that they move the little thing, it's so funny to watch him in any sort of action. Just, I'm a god. It was great. But anyways, yeah, it was still a fun episode, still a good time, and I'm really excited to see what the final two episodes hold for this season. I will say I'm a little interested to see what these final two episodes are going to be about, considering that there's not, outside of just Mando and Grogu sort of going around trying to do odd jobs to kind of make some money, and also running away, obviously, from bounty hunters, it doesn't really feel like there's been one main story, like one thing they're trying to track down or one person they're trying to stop. It's just been, hey, we're just on the run, we're trying to make money, and that's kind of it. It is fun, those episodal adventures, but I will say I am curious to see what this is all building to. And I do have faith that they're going to carry it through well and they're going to end it well. But it's just something that popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder what this is all leading to. I wonder how they're going to build this up to a climax in the final 2 episodes. But anyways, with all that being said, that's it for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Mandalorian reviews, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Peace out.